Hey, it's Melissa Carter. I'm the writer and publisher at Wanging Dude Publishing. Thank you so much for being part of the channel. If you are new, subscribe. We got plenty of videos here about how to write your own book or what are the things to consider when doing that. If you want to learn more about it, even if you're not a writer. And if you are someone who has watched several videos, thank you so much for your support. And we have different ways to support the channel below in the description. So I heard back from the editor, and I got to be honest with you, I was a little nervous when I got the email because I thought, oh, I'm going to open this up and she's going to say, nice try, but well, maybe you should move on to something else. Now, why in the world would I think that? I've said before, she's an editor and I hired her to edit my book. So she works for me. She's certainly not going to say, hey, sorry, don't do this. But it's funny how I don't know if it's a human trait, if it's a female trait, if it's an American trait, I don't know. But all I know is that, we tend to think, oh, like we need to please somebody or it's going to fail, or I don't know. I think that's what keeps people from actually doing something on their own is the sense of rejection. So anyway, that's what I felt when I got the email. I was excited and I was cautious at the same time. So I opened it up. So I want to read you what she wrote me. Melissa, I wanted to let you know I'm about halfway through your book and I'm very much enjoying editing this. The sense of relief came over as soon as I read that. Just so you will know, I'm mostly focusing on sentence level changes, paring back extra words and phrases, and sharpening up verbs and sentence construction so that your prose is active and that you are showing, not telling, as many places as possible. It's what I hired her for, right? For example, I'm recommending that you revise phrases like, it was that incident that showed me, to that incident showed me, right? So a little extra words will be more efficient. I like that, or something similar. But I'm definitely working to keep your style intact, your conversational and slightly irreverent tone, and sense of joy and exploration. I'm also leaving questions about anything I find unclear and confusing. At this point, my biggest recommendations and suggestions are that you add in more detail about dates and timing. Although I know you don't want this to come across as chronologically detailed account of your life, the lack of time detail sometimes makes the narrative feel like it's floating around in space somewhere. Readers will find it helpful to know a few more details, I believe, such as approximate years or how much time passes between certain key events in your narrative. So one of the things in the book, I cover both. My health is the main theme through the book, but then I talk a little bit about celebrities I've met, and I talk a little bit about my life as a lesbian. And so I try to keep everything in sync with each other in that time frame, but I do jump around, and so it makes sense that I've missed some of the I guess the bridges to those events, one to the other. So again, I appreciate her doing this. She finishes by saying, your short chapters and narrative style are very readable. And I like the ways you flip from work to health to other life events. However, there is some inconsistency in places related to chapter length and subject matter. So I'm making some recommendations about combining some anecdotes and breaking apart other longer chapters. I'm leaving you notes and explanations wherever I make such recommendations. So basically she was saying, hey, this is what, how many hours this is going to be. And that with her and just specifically, and I'd said that I was going to let you know how it costs along the way. So for her, there was like a $500 deposit to begin with, and then a $500 deposit halfway through. And I will share with you the final cost of the editing of the book. But I think it was a $500 deposit in the beginning. Now I'm thinking it may have been lower than that. But anyway, I'll let you know the final invoices as time goes on so that you have an idea about how much editing might cost. So encouraging. I thought it was encouraging. And again, because like I said, I call it an experiment because I don't know what to expect. And in my life, I'm learning as I get older that the best way to handle a situation is to not expect an outcome. So that's a hard thing to say because we're taught so much to have a vision, to have a goal. But at the same time, we also need to make sure that the outcome of that said goal is not something we try to control. So that's a very more deep spiritual thinking for a lot of people. And I think that's where I've read it from and seen people talk about it, where the best way to handle a situation is to put all your joy and your effort into it and then kind of let the universe handle it. Because, again, when you're older, you have the wisdom to know, there's so many things in my life that turned out great that weren't anything what I would have imagined. So my ideas didn't always turn out to be the best ideas. And so some of the things in my life now in my 50s that are the most enjoyable things for me are things that I had no plans for and no idea of and no vision of when I was in my 20s and 30s. So that's the same way I'm going to do with the book. Look, I'm writing this book for me. I'm writing this book for my son, but I'm also writing the book specifically for anybody who feels disenfranchised in any way, whether it's your health, whether it's your sexuality. And so I keep thinking, you know what? I'm going to push forward with this and hope that maybe it helps somebody along the way. So again, Melissa Carter, I have heard from the editor. She's halfway through. We're getting it done. And I look forward to the changes. And I'm glad that she's trying to make it symmetric and trying to make it make sense, because that's why I hired an editor for. And that's one of the reasons I suggest an editor. Fresh eyes. I don't know this editor. Like, she and I are not personal friends before I handed this to her. And I purposely wanted to find an editor I didn't know for that reason, because this is such a vulnerable story that I wanted somebody to be able to say to me, okay, this doesn't make sense. Like she said, this should be over here, without, I don't know, an awkwardness that sometimes friends can have. Now, my graphic artist is a dear friend of mine. The one that did my logo is a dear friend of mine. So there are people that are involved in the book that we'll talk to who are people who are close in my life. But the editor, I was like, no, I need that to be a little separated. And so she is. So I'm pleased. I'm satisfied. I'm not, I think if you believe in what you do, you don't get embarrassed or feel any kind of rejection or feel criticism. I don't feel any of those things. What I feel is hopeful and relieved that this is exactly what I needed from her. Right. So I look forward to getting those edits back. I'll let you know when I do. I'll let you know, we have her. And then after her, we have the formatter, the person who has to format the book. And I will let you know, I've already reached out to her and she said, send me the first draft of the book so that I can go ahead and be working on the format. And then when you get the edited version, all I have to do is, slip it in there and we're ready to go. So two things kind of overlapping each other. But if you have any questions, you want us to talk about anything, I say us, it's me. If you want me to talk about anything in regards to this, if I don't know, I'll find out the answer. Leave it in the comments below. We also have ways to support the channel below. And hopefully when the time comes that you'll get my book as well. So anyway, thank you so much for watching and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.